To become one of the film industry's most bankable stars takes some doing. Mel Gibson has certainly achieved that in his long career to date, and I hope for many years to come. Thanks Mel for all the entertainment you've provided. Now, let's start at the beginning. Mel Gibson was born on January 3, 1956, in Peekskill, New York, USA. He is the sixth-born child and had 10 other siblings. In 1964, his father Hutton suffered a major work accident. With the compensation money, he moved his family to West Pymble, Sydney, Australia. Mel Gibson was then just 12, and completed his high school education at St. Leo's Catholic College, Warunga, and Asquith Boys High School in Asquith. He then went to the National Institute of Dramatic Art to study acting. While a student, he was given an uncredited role in I Never Promised You a Rose Garden, and subsequently appeared as a leading actor in the micro-budget surf drama Summer City, both in 1977. Someone must have seen Gibson's potential, as in only his third movie role he starred in Mad Max, a 1979 Australian film directed by George Miller. In a near-future Australia, overrun with rogue bikies, someone needed to step up. Gibson plays Mad Max Rockatansky, a police officer turned vigilante. Was he up to the task of restoring law and order? The film was the most profitable ever made at the time, grossing over $100 million. There's trouble in the camp for Tim Gibson, a mentally challenged young man, after he meets an older woman.
This is Miss Horton, Tim's friend. Hello, Mary. Hello.
Things had been going great. Got rockier. But then...
Will you come to my wedding?
Australian-born Robin Gibson met her soon-to-be husband Mel in 1977 when they became housemates. She was a dental nurse and Mel had no idea how far he would go in the acting profession. They were married in 1980 and have 7 children together, a daughter and 6 sons. Attack Force said, was Gibson's next film. He later described the film as, pretty woeful, it's so bad, it's funny.
Mel Gibson.
The 1981 film Gallipoli follows 2 young men from Western Australia, Gibson as Frank and Mark Lee as Archie. It showcases the pair's exploits prior to enlistment, embarkment to a faraway land, training and finally arriving at Anzac Cove, Turkey, to face the enemy on the battlefield. The film was pivotal in launching Mel Gibson's international career as an actor. In Mad Max 2, it's not getting any easier for Max Rockatansky. Labeled as one of the greatest sequels in action movies ever made, with Gibson getting nominated for a Saturn Award as Best Actor. Mel Gibson's portrayal of Max is hard, bitter, and realistic. He is a man caught up in a mad future, which he confronts unafraid. A rookie journalist, Gibson, is sent to Indonesia as a foreign correspondent. Things start to heat up politically and Gibson is in the thick of it. With the help of a local photographer and after beginning a relationship with a diplomat played by Sigourney Weaver, Gibson must face some moral choices that reach crisis level, at the same time as Indonesian politics does. HMS Bounty sets off for Tahiti with Bly as captain and with his friend Fletcher Christian, Mel Gibson. The trip is an arduous one that tests everyone's patience and trust of Bly's capabilities. During their stay in Tahiti, ship discipline becomes an issue as many of the crew take a liking to the easy pleasures island life offers, Fletcher included. When the ship sets sail to return home, Bligh turns nasty, creating tension and violence. Fletcher and militants seize control of the ship in a mutiny and see Bligh and loyal crew off in a dinghy. The mutineers find an uncharted island to live on and burn the bounty. Tom, Gibson, and May, Sissy Spacek, live with their 2 children on a farm prone to flooding. Joe, Scott Glenn, is plotting behind the scenes to buy their farm for a song, to suit his own greedy agenda. Tom, however, is determined not to let that happen. In Mrs. Soffel, Kate Soffel, Diane Keaton, a warden's wife, falls in love with Ed Biddle, Gibson, a prisoner. There's no telling what she'll do to release him to her.
Escaped this morning at approximately 5 a.m.
We're looking for 2 men and a woman.
In Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, Max, Gibson, has been robbed of his possessions whilst traveling through the Australian outback. He arrives at Bartertown, a criminal colony governed by Ant Entity, Tina Turner, and Master Blaster.
Dying times here.
He is forced to fight on behalf of Ant Entity in order that she can gain complete control of the town, but after the fight, he is thrown back out into the desert. He then stumbles upon a group of orphans, and with their help he returns to Bartertown, destroys the power plant, and escapes with the enemy in close pursuit.
Gun!
Raj, meet your new partner.
A strong buddy pairing, in this film Lethal Weapon, between Gibson's and Glover's characters, helped along by the pair genuinely liking each other in real life. The brotherhood the 2 officers form, sees them get through plenty of action, comes from Glover's character being a family man and Gibson's being brought into that family. Director Donner enjoyed this theme, and would return to it in subsequent sequels. Gibson displays a boyish charm and fragility that few actors would have thought of, let alone delivered so well.
You really are crazy.
I'm hungry. I'm gonna go and get something to eat.
Oh, God.
In the 1988 film Tequila Sunrise, there's past history between Mel Gibson, a former drug dealer trying to go straight, and Kurt Russell, a detective. However, both men have an attraction to Michelle Pfeiffer, plus, throw in a Mexican drug kingpin and things soon heat up. Lethal Weapon 2, the sequel, is a film with the same wild energy as the original. The heroes once again are Riggs, Mel Gibson, who delights in making people think he's crazy, and Murtaugh, Danny Glover, a family man with retirement plans. Again, their relationship is a balancing act between exasperation and trust.
You know, there wasn't enough room.
In Bird on the Wire, Mel Gibson is his usual likable, good-humored self, but can get tough if he needs to. He's in witness protection with the bad guys looking for him. His co-star love interest is Goldie Hawn, and inevitably they get tangled up in all manner of escapades.
You know, I haven't had a girlfriend in 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, Mr. Wiggly's been on bread and water for 5 long years.
Air America is a covert CIA operation using the likes of Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. as flyboys, who wisecrack their way around real gunfire as they transport ammo, napalm and drugs to the locals in Laos.
I don't want to crash twice in one day! Don't worry, I crash better than anyone I know.
Why don't you go first?
No, I don't want to go first.
Okay, I'll go first.
No, I don't want to go second.
Mel Gibson is upbeat, robust and physical in Hamlet, the 1990 film. This is a prince who could have lived a healthy and happy life, if events had turned out differently. Gibson gives us a Hamlet who does his best to carry on, until he is overwhelmed by the sheer weight of events. His performance is strong, intelligent and filled with life. Forever Young begins in the 1930s. Mel Gibson's girlfriend, who he was about to propose to, has a car accident and ends up in a coma. While the plot covers a lot of cryogenic ground and is semi-believable, it ties together well and has enough mystery that you won't be able to guess the outcome. Mel's on-screen chemistry with co-stars Isabel Glasser and Jamie Lee Curtis is memorable.
Was in an accident, but she's alive.
Mel Gibson.
It's a matter of life and death.
Forever Young.
As you would expect from the third Lethal Weapon film, the scenario gets more familiar, but as long as it's spectacular and funny, who cares? Gibson and Glover know what they're doing and how to do it. The screenplay suits Mel Gibson's conversational style. He and Glover have their patter in sync and deliver entertainment in spades.
Wait, I'll leave my car here and I'll come with you.
No, you're not coming with us.
Yes, I am, but I don't take my car then.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You okay, honey?
No, I'm chaos and he's mayhem.
In the movie, The Man Without a Face, Gibson plays McLeod, a character of great complexity. A former teacher horribly disfigured in a car accident. A disadvantaged boy comes to him and asks to be tutored, and despite an abrupt start they become friends, but unfortunately they face a rocky road going forward. The movie is Gibson's directional debut and as a director shows the confidence to know what needs to be told and what doesn't. Gibson's acting performance is a reminder of his versatility. Not many actors can switch from Hamlet to Lethal Weapon and then do this role. In Maverick, Gibson is likable, playing alongside James Garner. With their sideburns and easy smiles, the two men look related. Their co-star is Jodie Foster, a sexy poker player. One deception follows another, as the plot unfolds. Directed by Richard Donner, Lethal Weapon, there's plenty of stunts, showdowns and the inevitable twist at the end.
So am I.
Don't worry, nothing to worry about. I got it all under control.
You should go out there and help him?
Well, I could do that, absolutely, but, after he's worked so hard, he might resent it.
Directed and starred in, Mel Gibson's Braveheart is a full-throttle, red-blooded epic film about William Wallace, a Scots warrior who led his nation into battle against the English around 1300. It's big on simple emotions like love, patriotism and treachery. Noted for its bloody and violent battle scenes, Gibson plays his role with flamboyance and a hint of dry humor. Overall a thrilling and entertaining movie, and considering the logistics alone of marshalling the armies of actors, stunts and special effects, it couldn't have been better directed, and went on to win 5 Academy Awards plus numerous other awards. Gibson finished the rest of 1995 off with a cameo role in Casper, and the voice of John Smith in Pocahontas. Ransom is a kidnapping thriller. Mel Gibson plays an airline owner whose child is kidnapped. He has a 50-50 plan to save his child. Rather than developing the movie on pure thriller themes, director Ron Howard involves intriguing side issues and exploring the motives of the kidnap gang. Gibson shows a man trying to outthink the kidnappers but with deadly stakes. His performance though is credible and he speeds things along.
Give me back my son!
Julia Roberts co-stars with Mel Gibson in Conspiracy Theory. Gibson is a New York cabbie who has listened to far too much talkback radio and sees suspicious activity everywhere. Conspiracies spin from his fertile imagination and into the ears of his passengers. A gifted comic, Gibson delivers these conspiracies with obsessive conviction.
I've loved you since the first time I ever saw you.
Jerry, you don't love me.
I don't?
One obsession he has above all though, is his love for Julia Roberts, a Justice Department agent who's on her own mission to solve her father's murder. How they arrived in a relationship is unclear, but the gritty scenes of New York add character to a complex, intertwined, action-packed plot. In Lethal Weapon 4, the chemistry is still there between Gibson and Glover. Add newcomers Chris Rock for more laughs and Jet Li as a great villain. As you would expect, above-average action aplenty. Rene Russo is Mel's now pregnant love interest and Joe Pesci adds more comedy relief. Richard Donner is at the director's helm again, assuring continuity of plot and style.
This is one of the most painful experiences in my life. They're promoting you.
Captain Riggs. Captain Murtaugh.
What happened?
Had some bad Chinese. We never talked about marriage.
You want to get married?
It's a first to have Mel Gibson play a villain. Gibson is playfully appealing, and smiles at the chance to be a bad guy. Oh, he's serious and furious, gives back as good as he gets, but with a smile hidden inside. The theme of the movie, Payback, is a criminal's vengeance at being double-crossed. Gibson is essentially an action comedian who employs violence when needed in the gritty streets of Chicago. Compelling watching.
We've been working too hard. Time to kick back a bit, shake those tail feathers.
Mel Gibson is the voice of Rocky Rhodes in Chicken Run, a role he was reportedly paid $1.5 million for. In a powerful and effective performance, Mel Gibson stars in The Patriot as a widower named Benjamin Martin with 7 children. That's all you need to know. I think you know what comes next. Try the scenario of a man jolted by electricity who develops the ability to read women's minds. In What Women Want, Mel Gibson is an ad executive who thinks he's next in line for a top job at his advertising agency, but the job goes to Helen Hunt. As revenge and equipped with his newfound mind-reading powers, he resorts to dirty tricks to upset Hunt. It all turns into a romantic comedy, not boring and often funny. The The $1 Million Hotel is the movie and the name of a fictional hotel in a seedy section of downtown LA. Gibson plays an FBI agent looking into the death of Izzy Goldkiss, Tim Roth, who has fallen from the roof. Suspects include an assorted bunch of losers and weirdos, who reside in the rundown hotel. His investigative methods involve spying on the residents and making their lives unpleasant. Gibson tackles an almost impossible character with charm and nervousness which centers the film somehow. We Were Soldiers is the story of the first major land battle in the Vietnam War. The movie lurches from battle scene to battle scene, with Gibson and his North Vietnamese counterpart trying to outsmart each other. As with all wars, there is tragic deaths and the inevitable telegram to deliver back home. The movie at least affords respect to both sides that had deaths and casualties.
Broken arrow!
Signs, the movie, is about crop circles and the possibility that aliens created them as navigational aids. Mel Gibson stars as Father Graham Hess, father of two and a man who has lost his faith. He lives on a farm with his brother Merrill, Joaquin Phoenix. The director M. Night Shyamalan plays the audience like a piano and persuades us to pay close attention to the smallest subtle changes. The possibility of aliens drives our fears as we encounter strange happenings in the build-up. The Singing Detective is a movie about a man, Robert Downey Jr., a detective novelist, who has been failed by science to cure his psoriatic arthritis and in desperation seeks temporary insanity as a release. Mel Gibson is his psychiatrist, Dr. Gibbon, and trying to make sense of Downey's mental condition and how to cure it. The 2004 film, The Passion of Christ, is graphic and violent. It is clear that Mel Gibson, who directed, wrote and produced the film, wanted to make the viewer understand the price that Jesus paid, as Christians believe, when he died for our sins. This is not a sermon, but a visualization of the central event in the Christian religion. Gibson has invested heavily in his convictions and beliefs to convey his message. Another directing triumph for Mel Gibson in the film Apocalypto. A film about the demise of the Mayan civilization. It highlights the brutally violent sacrificial rituals the Mayans used to keep the masses entertained. One of the best survival films ever made, a drama of rescue and revenge. Gibson is a director that doesn't need to rely on dialogue to tell a story, but conveys the plot as a visual storyteller. He is, after all, a master entertainer. In Edge of Darkness, Gibson plays a Boston cop. His daughter, however, is murdered by a hooded man when she answers the door one day. She worked for a secretive corporation with a sinister chairman that traffics in illegal, traitorous and dangerous activities. You can probably guess the rest, as Gibson seeks revenge in this action-packed thriller.
Decide whether you're hanging on the cross or banging in the nails.
The Beaver is a film directed by Jodie Foster. Gibson's character is a man deep in depression that has alienated his family and nearly destroyed his business. He finds a hand puppet, the Beaver, in the trash, to communicate to people and overcome his issues.
Who are you? I'm the Beaver Wood, and I'm here to save your damn life.
El Pueblito, a Mexican jail hellhole. Never mind how he got there, it's how Mel Gibson's going to get out, that gives the 2012 film, Hit the Gringo, its interest. Director Adrian Grunberg keeps things moving, despite the chaos and gritty squalor of the place. Gibson's personal life at the time was public relation challenged, due to remarks made, but supportive Gibson fans can overlook that, knowing his entertainment credentials. This film doesn't disappoint with all its brutal and boiling revenge. Machete Kills has been described as way too much of a pretty good thing. Director Robert Rodriguez has Danny Trejo as the hard action centerpiece, and Mel Gibson as the crazed tycoon, self-mocking sleaze, bad guy. You can guess the rest. Mel Gibson is cast as a ruthless arms dealer in The Expendables 3, alongside a host of aging action stars. A group of old-school actioneers have to adopt tech-savvy to stay ahead in their game. Gibson sinks his teeth into his villainous role, with action aplenty. The movie Blood Father has Gibson cast as the bad man trying to be good.
Dad, your fucked up daughter.
He uses all his God-given charisma, talent, ruggedness, and wits to sell the part, and he does it well. In an effort to save his addicted daughter from the bad guys, he steps up, something he's used to. Gibson received many accolades for his direction of Hacksaw Ridge, and it was nominated for 6 Oscars, winning 2. A film that focuses on the World War II experiences of an American pacifist combat medic who refused to carry a weapon and became the first conscientious objector to be awarded the Medal of Honor. It was widely viewed as a return to form for Gibson, whose career had been in decline following several controversies in his personal life. In Daddy's Home 2, Gibson plays a bullying grandfather-cum-womanizer.
Hey kids, I got a good one for you. 2 dead hookers wash up on the shore.
Oh, no. Shut up.
It's a comedy film looking for laughs, but despite the talents of Gibson and John Lithgow, falls short somewhat, having milked out all the premise gags in the original film. Dragged Across Concrete is compelling and violent. Gibson is cast as a racist cop and along with his partner Vince Vaughn, make you feel like you're on the edge of a precipice, both painful and tense. The film moves along at a thoughtful pace and makes a statement about the ugliness and violence of America. Inspired by a true story, The Professor and the Madman is a compelling historical drama. The script takes an otherwise dry subject and enlightens it with a mysterious, fascinating quality. Gibson and Penn's characters share a unique friendship that produced something historically extraordinary. In the 2020 low-budget film, Force of Nature, Gibson, an ex-NYC cop does his best to stop the bad guys robbing an apartment block during a hurricane.
What's the job?
I'd like you to kill Santa Claus.
Picture this, a bitter and twisted Santa Claus, who is struggling financially and has lost the jollies. Well, that's the part Gibson plays in Fatman, and he's not liked either by a particular hitman who's looking for a violent confrontation. Boss Level is a 2020 sci-fi action film, hence when I tell you that Frank Grillo's character tries to escape a never-ending time loop that results in his death, you can accept that. Mel Gibson's character is not so nice. Even if you don't quite get it, the breakneck action should keep you entertained. Scott Eastwood is a parolee whose family think he's creepy, due to his split personality. In the film Dangerous, he returns home with some unfinished business to do. Mel Gibson plays a psychiatrist who's there to assist, sort of, if he didn't have enough problems of his own. In Last Looks, we start with a disgruntled, reclusive ex-cop, Charlie Hunnam, who is living off-grid in the middle of nowhere.
Alistair Pinch, you're under arrest for the murder of Monica Pinch. Come on.
Mel Gibson has been arrested for murdering his wife, and Hunnam is lured back to LA to investigate, in the role of a private detective. Panama, a 2022 action thriller, casts Mel Gibson as a CIA operative who hires Cole Hauser, a former Marine, to undertake a mission alone and amongst the most dangerous bad guys. Gibson plays a shady spy boss in Agent Game, an action thriller. You know the scenario: black ops, double agents, on the run, sort of stuff. A passion project for Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson, Father Stu, is based on a true story of a boxer that survives a motorcycle accident and decides to use his second chance by becoming a Catholic priest, Wahlberg being the would-be priest. Gibson plays Stu's estranged father. In Hot Seat, an anonymous criminal plants a bomb under the chair of an ex-hacker, and forces him to hack into banks. A bomb disposal expert, Mel Gibson's role, gets involved, as the tension builds to the inevitable clock-ticking climax. In 2006, after 26 years of marriage, Gibson and his wife Robin separated, the day after he was arrested for drink driving in Malibu. They filed for divorce 3 years later. The divorce was finalized in 2011 with a settlement to his now former wife of $400 million. In 2009, Gibson made a red carpet appearance with Oksana Grigorieva, who gave birth to Gibson's daughter Lucia on October 30, 2009. By April 2010, Gibson and Grigorieva had split. In 2014, Gibson was in a relationship with Rosalind Ross and she gave birth to his 9th child, Lars, in 2017.